Namaste. I'm Achla Bhupendra, Chairperson of Sustainable Future Foundation. Would like to welcome you all on today's special event on the thought-provoking topic called Climate Change: Concern, Real or Exaggerated? An interactive panel discussion led entirely by young global voices. Sustainable Future Foundation, we also call it as SFF. We believe sustainability is not just a cause, it's a conscious way of life. It goes beyond tree plantation and cleanliness drives. It's about the everyday choices we make in our home, our workplaces, our communities, whether in cities or villages. Sustainability means using resources wisely, living with balance and purpose, and choosing responsibility over excess. Through initiative like this, SFF brings together students, educators, professionals, artists, storytellers to foster a shared understanding of sustainable living. Because we believe the youth are not just leaders for tomorrow, they are change makers of today. So, what makes today's event even more special for me is the diversity of perspective we are about to witness. Students from 4 different countries, my own Bharat, India, UAE, Saudi Arabia, and Australia are joining with us with their observation, concern, and question. Each of them brings a voice shaped by different climate, since they are from different origins. So, different climate, a different culture, a different experience, yet all united by one planet and one shared future. Before I hand over the mic, I'm honored to introduce our 3 inspiring young speakers who were invited to lead today's discussion alongside our wonderful host. My first wonderful speaker is Anukriti Jain. She is a grade 8 student of Dunes International School, Saudi Arabia. She is very articulated, thoughtful, deeply observant, and she brings a sharp lens to global environmental issues. As far as my knowledge, she is a very smart girl. My second speaker, close to my heart, Nandika Tandon, grade 8, Mount Carmel School, Delhi, Bharat. Analytical and confident, no doubt, with a strong sense of responsibility and clarity in expressing complex ideas. She is very responsible, I must say. My third speaker, very close to my heart, Shivi Gupta, grade 7, Westbourne Grammar School from Melbourne, Australia. Energetic, empathetic, and insightful with a unique global perspective shared by real life experience. One more thing, although these girls are from different, they are staying in different places, but they all are proud Indian. And now I'm absolutely delighted to introduce our young host, the vibrant voice that will guide today's session, Ms. Peehu Bhupendra, a very confident and curious, brilliant student of grade 7, Asian International School, Al Dhannah City, near Abu Dhabi, UAE. Peehu is not only a bright academic mind, but also a young environmental leader who speaks with the heart and conviction. Her ability to communicate big ideas in simple, meaningful ways make her natural on the stage. So let's ready for an engaging, eye-opening conversation. Peehu, stage is all yours, beta.
ॐ सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे ज्ञानरूपिणी.
Peehu, can you please unmute yourself?
My mic is unmute.
Yeah.
Should I start again?
No, your voice is not coming. Please unmute.
Hello?
Okay.
Okay.
Can you speak now?
Hello?
Check your laptop.
Hello?
Is it unmuted?
It's unmuted.
Check again.
Hello?
Can you join from another device?
Okay, continue. Okay. Oh.
I can't hear you, beta. Okay.
ॐ सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे ज्ञानरूपिणी विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा. Om. Hey Ma Saraswati, you give us knowledge and wisdom. Please bless us to learn well, speak kindly, and make the most of today's session. May your grace guide us as we explore the wonders of trees and nature. Namaste, and a very warm welcome to everyone joining us today. Thank you so much, Achla ma'am, for inviting me on the stage. Today's session is not just a debate, it's a reality check. We're here to explore one of the most critical and controversial questions of our time: climate change concerns. Real or exaggerated? Is climate change truly the global emergency it's said to be, or are we caught in a storm of media hype and political drama? Are we overthinking it or dangerously underreacting? What is the real picture? And more importantly, what can we, the youth of today, actually do about it? Let's start with a simple truth. Climate change is no longer just a chapter in science textbooks or something we write about in essays. It's a real and a visible issue, and it's happening now. From scorching heat waves and record breaking wildfires, to floods that destroy homes, rising sea levels, and swallowing coastlines, and the heartbreaking loss of biodiversity. The signs are everywhere. Glaciers are melting, islands are sinking, and entire communities are being forced to move. For many, climate change is not just a future problem, it's already a part of daily life. But at the same time, we hear other voices, voices that are loud and persistent. Some say that danger is exaggerated, that the planet has always changed naturally, that the media and the politicians use fear to control and influence. So, what's the truth? Is it a real and growing threat, or are we being misled and made to panic? That's exactly here what we are going to explore today. In this session, we'll hear multiple perspectives, examine facts, and ask important and sometimes difficult questions. How real is the threat of climate change? Who is already suffering and who might be the next? And what role can young people play in this global challenge? Because while debate is important, action is essential. We cannot afford to wait until it's too late. Whether the danger is exaggerated, one thing is clear: our planet is changing, and the choices we make today will shape the world we inherit tomorrow. So, I invite you all to listen deeply, speak honestly, and think with compassion. Because the future is not just something that happens to us, it is something we build together. Now, let me walk you through how today's session will unfold. We'll be exploring this topic through three important rounds of discussion with our wonderful student panel. Round 1 will be about perspectives, and we'll begin about the scientific and social point of view. What are the facts? What are people observing in different parts of the world? Round 2 will be about perception versus reality, where we'll dig deeper into how the world is talking and about climate change. Is the fear real or shaped by media and politics? And the round 3 will be about the future vision: what needs to change, where we look at what can be done, what changes we make as youth, as citizens, and as a global community. I am thrilled to introduce our amazing speakers, young, thoughtful, and passionate voices across the globe. Our first speaker is Anukriti Jain of Grade 8 at Dunes International School, Jubail, Saudi Arabia. She's really curious and always eager to explore new ideas. Our second speaker of the evening is Nandika Tandon, also in grade 8, studies at Mount Carmel School, Delhi, India. She's thoughtful and loves speaking about important topics. And the third speaker is Shivi Gupta from Westbourne School, Melbourne, Australia, and she's in grade 7, just like me, and she brings a really cool and creative perspective. Let's give them all a big cheer as we start today's session. Thank you once again to all our guests, teachers, and young change makers for being here. We now begin round 1, where we'll explore the opening perspectives on climate change, not just through data and facts, but through real experiences and personal reflections. To open this round, I invite our first panelists, Anukriti Jain from Saudi Arabia. Anukriti, many people around the world believe that climate change is exaggerated by the media or used by politicians to push certain agendas. Do you agree with this view or do you feel differently? Also, in your daily life in Saudi Arabia, have you ever observed any clear or visible signs of climate change around you? Maybe through extreme weather, environmental shifts, or awareness campaigns. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Over to you, Anukriti.
Good evening, Peehu, and to everyone here. I'm really excited to be a part of this discussion today on climate change concerns, real or exaggerated. From my perspective, having seen some of these changes up close and with my strong belief in caring for our Earth, a belief that aligns so much with the good work of the Sustainable Future Foundation, I truly believe these concerns are very much real. They need our attention right now. Now, your question, Pihu, about the media and politicians exaggerating things, that's something a lot of people wonder about. Honestly, I don't think the core scientific findings are exaggerated at all. But I do agree that how information is presented can sometimes be confusing or even overwhelming. This can make it seem like the issue is overblown. Think about it. News sometimes focuses on the most exciting or dramatic stories to get our attention. Even if those things are real, it can feel like bad news all the time. This can make it seem like scientists are really divided. But the truth is, almost all climate scientists agree that our climate is changing and we are causing it. And politicians, well, they must balance a lot of things, including the economy. So, some might play it down while others might talk it up, depending on their priorities. But their opinions don't change the facts. For me, I always say it's best to listen to trusted scientists, like groups from the UN's IPCC or big research spaces like NASA. They base what they say on years of careful study, not just news headlines or political talks. And what they tell us is clear. Our planet is warming up much faster than ever before, and it's because of us. And yes, right here in Saudi Arabia, I've definitely seen and heard about changes that connect to these worries. First and foremost, the intense summers. We know it's hot here, right? But it feels like summers are getting even more scorching, with longer periods of extreme heat. My family and I sometimes joke that our air conditioning needs a holiday too. It works so hard. Secondly, the changing sandstorms. Sandstorms are normal in the desert, but they seem to be more frequent or stronger at unexpected times. The sky can turn orange so fast and visibility drops quickly. It disrupts our outdoor plans and even school. Have you heard about snowfall in the deserts? This might sound surprising, but we've seen pictures and heard about snow in desert areas like Tabuk and the mountains in Neom. It's like the weather is having its own mood swing. But it's also important to realize and recognize that Saudi Arabia is also taking big steps to help. The Saudi Green Initiative, for example, plans to plant billions of trees all across Saudi Arabia. This isn't just for looks and aesthetics. These forests will help stop sandstorms, clean the air, and even cool local areas. Our region's huge investments in these green efforts prove that these concerns are taken very seriously. That's it from my side. Back to you, Pihu.
Thank you so much, Anukriti. That was a powerful and a very grounded perspective. I loved how you blended your personal experiences in Saudi Arabia with a bigger global picture. Your clarity on media noise versus real science actually helps us think more critically. And yes, your line about the AC needing a break made us smile, but it also said so much about how the real changes feel in a day to day life. The mention of of the Saudi Green Initiative shows that even desert nations are acting because climate change doesn't need to knock twice. Thank you once again for for such a thoughtful start to our discussion. Let's now move on to our second speaker from a country where both social and environmental challenges are deeply interconnected, Nandika Tandon from India. Nandika, We live in a world full of big challenges like terrorism, poverty, and health crises like pandemics. And in India, especially, you've seen problems like floods, rising pollution levels, extreme heat, and water shortages. With all this happening, where do you place climate change in the list of urgent global issues? Do you believe it's the top priority or does it get lost among other serious crimes? We're eager to hear your view. Over to you, Nandika.
Warm wishes, everyone. Thank you so much, Peehu. That's a very important question in principle. Yes, the world is facing multiple challenges: terrorism, poverty, inequality, pandemics, and in India, we have our share of social issues, along with floods, heat waves, and dangerous levels of pollution. But here's how climate change stands out: it just doesn't exist alongside these problems, it makes all of them worse. So, where does climate change rank in terms of urgency? For me, it is at the top because while poverty, terrorism affect people in different places, climate change affects everyone, everywhere, and increasingly all at once. Here's my call to action to the world in just three focus points. Treat climate change like a global emergency, not a future issue. The science is clear. Damage is real. Climate change needs the urgency that we gave to COVID 19, or more, I feel. We must stop treating it like a distant concern. Collaboration of countries on the issue is only amongst developed nations, while they are the ones historically contributing the most to it. The role of developing nations is completely absent in taking corrective measures, but their emissions are rising rapidly. Climate, just, climate justice must be at the core. Developed nations must lead with real climate issues with finance and technology support. The global south should not be asked to pay the price for pollution it didn't cause. Shift from pledges to implementation. We don't need more climate promises, they don't work. We need action. Invest in renewables, phase out fossil fuels, protect forests, and empower people to be a part of the solution. Since the Paris Agreement 2015, the most recent data indicates a zero point 0.2 degrees Celsius increase in global average temperature since. In some periods, temperatures exceeded 1.5 degrees Celsius already, which was the threshold decided in the agreement. In conclusion, climate change is not an issue among many, it is the foundation on which the future of all other issues will rest. Act now, or everything else we are trying to solve will become harder, costlier, and in some cases, irreversible. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nandika, for that grounded and thoughtful perspective. In your response, you took the reference of countries from global south where social, environmental, and economic issues all compete for attention. Climate change must still be taken seriously because even if it's not the loudest crisis, it is the one that connects all the countries impacting health, livelihood, food, and water. Now let's move across continents to Australia, a place that has seen some of the world's most shocking examples of climate extremes in the recent years. Shivi Gupta joined from Australia. Shivi, we've all seen images of Australia's devastating bushfires, skies turned orange, forests burned for days, and so many animals and homes lost. Some blame climate change, others say it's due to human negligence or arson. In your view, are documentaries and social media campaigns truly helping people understand the real issue, or are they adding to the fear and confusion? We'd love to hear your thoughts from your part of the world. Over to you, Shivi. Shivi, can you unmute your mic?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
Yes, yes. Shivi, please continue. Yeah.
Good evening, everyone. I'm quite excited to share my opinion as it's very relevant in today's world. In a world where climate disasters unfold in real time, social media has become one of our most powerful tools for survival, storytelling, and change. Campaigns and posts emphasize the severity and dangers of fire. By showcasing the consequences of inaction, these campaigns can motivate individuals to adopt more sustainable practices and support climate friendly policies, which all in all work towards a better future. Keeping people aware is equipping them with the knowledge to survive these disasters before, after, and during them. It empowers communities to make informed decisions, protect their families, and demand the support they deserve. When people understand the risks, they can begin to prepare, and just as importantly, they can begin to speak out and demand meaningful climate action. During Australia's worst bushfires, like the 2019-2020 Black Summer, people used social media to request help, report missing persons, and coordinate evacuations. Hashtags like Australia's Fire went viral, spreading real time updates when official alerts were delayed or unclear, especially in remote areas. Just as much as they reach people, campaigning online single handedly educates them as well. Social media, in particular, is a great way for spreading information. A single post can be shared 1,000 times within minutes, reaching people across the globe. Visual content like videos, infographics, before and after photos help make the message seem more relatable and impactful. People don't just read statistics, they see the faces of those affected, the smoke filled skies, the burnt forests. It becomes personal. But the strength of these platforms isn't in just numbers, it's in connections. Online communities form rapidly in response to disaster. People coordinate supplies, offer shelter, raise funds, and even organize reforestation efforts. Campaigns spark movements. They turn concern into contribution. And perhaps most importantly, these posts and initiatives keep the conversation well, long, and alive after the fires are extinguished. They remind the world that recovery is a process, not a headline. They continue to highlight the systemic issues that led to the disaster in the first place, issues like poor land management, inadequate climate policy, and unchecked emissions. Awareness, when sustained, can drive pressure for long term policy change. However, for all the power of awareness, it must be paired with action. Knowledge is only useful when it leads to change. Campaigns must encourage not just likes and shares, but also donations, votes, volunteerisms, and lifestyle shifts. Governments and institutions must be held accountable, and individuals must be given the tools to make better choices. When campaigns highlight both the problem and the pathway forward, they create momentum for real progress. They remind us that behind every burning fire forest is a community trying to rebuild, and behind every campaign is a chance to make sure they never have to face it alone again. Climate campaigns aren't scaring people, they're waking us up. It's not fear, it's fuel for change. Thank you. That is how I see it. Over to you, Pihu.
well said, Shivi. Knowledge is only useful when it leads to change. And thank you so much for bringing that thoughtful perspective from Australia. Indeed, when visuals are strong and emotions are high, it's easy to get swept into panic or blame. As you rightly said, the real power of the media lies in educating and engaging, not just alarming. Documentaries and social platforms have a big role to play, but only when used with balance and truth. Let's all take that message forward. Inform, don't inflame. Each of you brought in a different lens from observing climate shifts in daily life to understanding how environmental concerns compete with other global problems to questioning how media and storytelling shape our reactions. What's clear is this: climate change is not just a scientific issue, it's a social one, a political one, and a deeply personal one too. And your voices have helped us see it more clearly from three different corners of the world. Now, as we moved into round two, let's dig a little deeper into the perceptions and narratives around climate change. While the science behind climate change is clear, the global conversation is often influenced by politics, media, and varying agendas. Some critics argue that developed nations might be exaggerating climate threats to influence global policies or safeguard their economic interests. To explore this, here's a question for Anukriti. Some critics argue that developed nations exaggerate climate threats to control global policies or protect their economic interests. Do you believe this is happening? Please share your thoughts. Over to you, Anukriti.
That's an important point, Pihu, and it's a feeling I understand, especially from our Indian background. Do I think developed nations exaggerate climate threats just for economic control? No, I don't believe the scientific threat is exaggerated. However, I understand why some might feel this way. Look at the historical responsibility. Developed nations grew wealthy using fossil fuels for centuries to come. Now, when developing nations like India and KSA need growth energy for growth, it can feel unfair when richer nations push strict climate policies. Next, let's look at economic burden. Some climate policies are expensive, potentially slowing economic progress in developing countries. But Pihu, these concerns about fairness don't change the scientific reality. From my own experiences in India and Saudi Arabia, our future depends on a healthy environment. In India, farmers lose homes and crops due to floods or droughts. These aren't just exaggerations, they're a reality. And we've seen just how real this is. Recently, with floods and extreme heat tearing through parts of China, causing immense destruction, and showing that climate change impacts everyone and everywhere. Global countries like India and Saudi Arabia are making huge efforts, like India's commitment to solar energy or Saudi Arabia's green initiative and NEOM. This shows a genuine understanding of these challenges, not just external pressure. Ultimately, it is important to understand that melting ice caps and changing weather affects us all. The science is too strong for it to just be a tactic. So, while debates about how climate action is implemented are valid, I believe the scientific concerns are very real and not just an exaggeration for economic control. It's all about nations finding fair ways to protect our one and only Earth. Back to you, Pihu.
Thank you once again, Anukriti. You've touched on such an important layer about the question of fairness in climate responsibility. Your thoughts helped us see both sides the genuine scientific urgency and the real economic concerns of developing nations. What really stood out was your reminder that while debates may vary, the science remains clear climate change affects everyone, everywhere. Building on this has now turned to another crucial aspect of public perception itself. How much of this concern we see around climate change is truly based on facts and how much is driven by fear? To explore this, here's the next question for Nandika. Would you say that public concern around climate change is based in more on facts or fear? Can you give an example to support your view? Over to you, Nandika.
Thank you so much for the question. I believe that public concern around climate change today is based on more facts than fear. Fear may have been the driver once, but we now have undeniable data backed evidence of climate change unfolding around us. In India, for example, we don't need to imagine the impacts, we all see them. Take the 2023 North India floods, Delhi, Punjab, Himachal Pradesh, rivers overflowed, homes were lost, infrastructure was paralyzed. That wasn't fear, that was fact. Or look at the extreme heat waves that swept across central and northern India this year, closing schools and sending people away to hospitals. Crop yields are falling. Cities are choking on air pollution. These are facts, not fears. And people are rightly concerned. The science backs this. The IPCC reports, the World Meteorological Organization data, even India's own state action plans on climate change all point to risking to rising risks if we do not act now. So yes, the concern is very real. It's rational. It's based on lived experience, scientific research, and increasingly economic losses and health crisis. So here's what the world needs to do: face the facts, not just the fears. Acknowledge the science, believe the data, and make climate change part of every major policy: economic, health, education, and urban planning. Lead with equity, not ego. Rich nations must act faster and help developing countries with finance, technology, and fairness. Climate justice is not just a slogan, it's a necessity. Act now, not later. The longer we wait, the higher the cost. Start local, cut emissions, build climate resistant infrastructure, and shift to green jobs and clean energy. In short, the public concern is not panic, it's a call for responsibility. The facts are now in front of us. The time for fear is over. The time for global, united, and urgent action is now. With that, I'd like to conclude. Thank you.
Thank you, Nandika. It's important to recognize how both facts and emotions shape public awareness, sometimes motivating action, sometimes causing confusion. You had mentioned about floods and heat waves in India, which has impacts on everyone people, animals, and plants. But if we consider the human side of climate change, its impacts are not same for all human beings. Some communities bear the brunt far more than others. With that in mind, let me move towards Shivi and ask her. So, Shivi, as I just mentioned, climate change impacts people differently. In your view, who is the most vulnerable and how does that shift the entire conversation? Over to you, Shivi.
Thank you for the thoughtful question. Here's my take. The most vulnerable groups of people typically include those living in underdeveloped communities, individuals with disabilities or pre existing health conditions, and low income families. The disproportionate effects of climate change hit these people the hardest, and at the end, it's them who have to bear the burdens of its impact, despite contributing the least to the problem. In particular, many underdeveloped communities lack the proper infrastructures or resources to withstand floods, fires, or other things caused by climate change. When disaster strikes, recovery is slow or sometimes impossible. Underdeveloped countries don't have the luxury of waiting. For them, climate change isn't a future threat, it's a daily struggle. To quote Mary Robinson, the former president of Ireland, once we see climate change to the eyes of the most vulnerable, the conversation changes from science to justice. This naturally raises a question. If climate change is global, shouldn't responsibility be global too? Low income families are often hit the hardest by these natural disasters, with nearly half never fully recovering financially. Without a safety net, many face the loss of their homes and livelihoods. By 2030, climate change is projected to push over 100 million people, primarily in low income countries or families, into extreme poverty. Moreover, the long term consequences are especially devastating for children who bear the brunt of its instability. These children are the future, and it is our responsibility to protect them, support their growth, and empower them to become eco friendly, responsible leaders our world needs. Similarly, people with pre existing health issues suffer more in rising temperatures and during disasters when healthcare is scarce. The ones who are in immediate danger are prioritized first. No doubt they should be, but often those with long term conditions are hit just as badly as their condition worsens from the impact. WHO, the World Health Organization, states that people with disabilities are 2 to 4 times more likely to die in climate related disasters. All of this evidently steers the conversation to something more about justice, equity, and responsibility, and forces the richer nation to think about the effects of their actions. Recognizing these inequalities forces the world to stop seeing climate change as just an environmental issue and start treating it as a moral and human one. Over to you, Pihu.
Thank you, Shivi, for highlighting that communities are most vulnerable to climate change and reminding us how their experiences must shape our response. You rightly said that climate change is not just a future threat, but it's a daily struggle for many. Understanding who is affected the most helps us focus our efforts where they are needed and what makes the conversation more inclusive and urgent. That brings us to the end of round two, where we explored perceptions, narratives, and human impact of climate change. Now, as we move into round three, the future vision, what needs to change our focus shifts to future generations, responsibility, and action. Climate change is often framed as a concern for those who come after us, but what can we do today to create a safer, healthier tomorrow? To start this important conversation, here's my question for Anukriti. Do small actions like recycling or eating vegetarian help, or is a systematic change more important? Let's hear your thoughts. Over to you, Anukriti.
That's a fantastic question, Pihu. It makes you wonder, does my choice to recycle really compare to such a huge factory? My answer is simple. Both are absolutely essential and they work together. It's not one or the other, it's both. Some feel individual actions are tiny drops, but I believe they're incredibly important. First and foremost is building awareness. Small habits like reducing food waste makes us more mindful. Living here in Saudi Arabia teaches you to cherish resources. I see a beautiful example of this every summer at my Nana and Nani's house in Kishangar in Rajasthan. It's a place of lush greenery near the ancient fort and lake, showing how individual and community efforts create harmony. Next, we need to create demand. If many people ask for vegetarian options or less plastic, businesses will change. It actively supports organizations like the SFF by showing public demand for change. Most importantly, doing something, however small, is empowering. Doing something makes us feel part of the solution, not helpless. Consistent individual action sends a powerful message to politicians and companions that we care and we want bigger changes. But personal actions alone aren't enough. We also need to turn off the tap. That's systematic change. Governments need to create laws and build things like massive solar farms or better public transport. Big industries must completely shift to cleaner technologies and practices. This means huge investments in new solutions that individuals can't make alone. The beauty is that these actions are deeply connected. Our personal choices, multiplied by millions, create the demand that drives big systematic changes, making it easier for all of us to live sustainably. Look at the Saudi Green Initiative, planting billions of trees, aiming for 50% renewable energy. This systematic effort, in turn, encourages us to be more mindful. It's the same in India, with focus on both individual habits and huge shifts to solar and electrical vehicles. So, personal actions spark bigger changes, and those big changes pave the way for a truly sustainable future. We need commitment from each person and bold leadership from the top. That's it from my side, Pihu.
Hello? Thank you, Anukriti. That was truly inspiring. You beautifully connected the personal with the planetary. I loved how you reminded us that small actions aren't just symbolic, they create awareness, shift demand, and give us a sense of power. And the story of your Nana Nani's green space in Kishangarh really brought it home. how individual and community care nurture nature. You're right, we need both. Every day's responsibility and strong systematic change. When the two work together, real transformation becomes possible. Building on that, let's now focus on the energy and the potential of the next generation. Youths today are not just inheriting the planet, they're also the key drivers of change. So here's the next question for Nandika. What role can today's youth play in tackling climate change? We look forward for your perspective. Over to you, Nandika.
Thank you so much, Peehu. A very important question. I truly believe that today's youth are not just victims of climate change, we are agents of change. Our role is critical. It starts with three big responsibilities. First, we need to educate ourselves and others. Understanding climate change, the science, the solutions, and the impact is step one. Ignorance is no longer excuse. Whether it's through school projects, social media, or just daily conversations, we must keep spreading awareness. Second, we must lead by example. Change starts with us. From the clothes we wear to how we travel to what we eat, our lifestyle choices matter. If we say climate change is urgent, we have to live like it is. No action is too small when done collectively. Third, we must speak up and demand accountability. Youth across the world, from Greta Thunberg to Indian climate warriors like Disha Ravi, have shown that young voices matter. We must continue to raise those voices in classrooms, on streets, in policy forums, and at the ballot box. Yes, we are young, but we are not powerless. We are the generation that will live through the consequences. So we must shape the solutions. And now here's my call to action for the world. Listen to the youth. Don't just hear us, include us in decision making. We deserve a seat at every climate table. Act now, speak less. The time for promises is over. Shift from words to action at the speed science demands. Make climate action fair. Support developing countries and vulnerable communities. The transition must be just and inclusive. In conclusion, we are not too young to lead. We are just in time to change the story. Let's not inherit a broken planet. Let's be the generation that saves it. And with this, I'd like to conclude. Thank you so much. Over to you, Pihu.
Thank you, Nandika, for highlighting the powerful role that youth can play in shaping a sustainable future. Their passion, innovation, and activism are indeed critical to tackling climate change head on. Looking ahead, let's take a moment to imagine the future we want to create. So, Shivi, here's a question for you. Imagine it's the year 2050 and you're an adult. What would your ideal climate friendly world look like? We're eager to hear your vision. Over to you, Shivi.
Interesting question. Thank you for that, Pihu. Here's my vision. To me, an ideal climate friendly world is one where individuals, communities, and nations come together and with shared commitment to protect, preserve the planet. In this world, people make sustainable choices, not out of obligation or pressure, but because they genuinely care about the earth and understand its profound impact of their actions. Everyday decisions like recycling properly or planting native plants, reducing single use plastic, conserving energy, using public transportation, and all this supports local ecosystems. These actions are seen not as burdens but as expressions of love and respect for the environment. In this ideal world, education plays a key role, empowering people of all ages to make informed, eco conscious choices. Schools, workplaces, and governments actively promote environmental literacy and provide the tools and resources needed to live sustainably. Policies are in place that prioritize clean energy, reduce emissions, and protect natural habitats, while industries innovate responsibly to minimize waste and pollution. And perhaps most importantly, there is a global sense of unity, a collective spirit where countries collaborate across borders, setting aside differences to tackle climate change as one interconnected human family. Communities support one another, share solutions, and uplift the next generation to be even more proactive and more passionate about environmental stewardship. Together, we would be building not just a cleaner world, but a fairer, healthier, and more compassionate future for all living beings. Back to you, Pihu.
Thank you so much, Shivi. Your vision of 2050 wasn't just hopeful, it was grounded in responsibility and collective action. I really liked how you reminded us that real change happens when we all move together. Governments, communities, and individuals like puzzles or pieces of a puzzle coming together to form a better and a greener world. From cleaner cities and conscious lifestyles to smarter innovations, in 2050 feels like a place we'd all want to live in. Thank you once again for painting such a powerful picture of your future. Before we wrap up today's powerful discussion, I have one last quick question for all three of you. What would be a 3 point call to action on climate change? Please keep your answers short, clear, and powerful, just three quick bullet points each. Let's inspire everyone here with simple and actionable steps we all can take to make a difference. So, Anukriti, would you like to start?
As we conclude our discussion today, I want to leave everyone with a clear message of hope and empowerment in the form of a short poem. हवा में धुआं है, जल में पीर, पेड़ खामोश, पर्वत अधीर, कोई कहे ये भ्रम का जाल, कोई बोले संकट बेहाल, धरती माँ की है ये पुकार, संभल जा मानव, यदि है मुझसे प्यार, चाहे संकट हो हल्का या भारी, पर्यावरण संरक्षण ही है जिम्मेदारी हमारी. With these lines, I conclude my thoughts. Thank you to Peehu and to the Sustainable Future Foundation.
Thank you, Anukriti, for your beautiful poem. Nandika, would you like to say anything?
Yeah. The climate clock is ticking, but hope is still alive. The future isn't written yet. We are the pen. Let's write a story worth telling, because we do not inherit the earth from our ancestors, we borrow it from our children. And I believe it's time we start acting like responsible borrowers. Let's do our bit to save the earth, because if everyone does their own bit, it will make a big change, a positive one. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Nandika, for your beautiful thought. Shivi, would you like to also add something?
As we wrap up this discussion, I'd like to leave you with three key actions we can all take in our daily lives. Reduce your carbon footprint by adopting sustainable habits in your daily life. Support and amplify voices of climate conscious individuals and companies leading the way. Raise awareness through conversations, creativity, and community involvement. This is my call to action, and with these small steps taken together can lead to meaningful change. Thank you.
Thank you all for your impactful thoughts today. Together, we can create change. Thank you so much, Anukriti, Nandika, and Shivi, for your thoughtful, balanced, and hopeful insights today. We've journeyed through the complex world of climate change from understanding how it's perceived and sometimes misunderstood to recognizing the real human stories behind the science. We've now reflected on who is most vulnerable and why their voices matter the most. And most importantly, we've looked forward to the urgent actions we must take now, the powerful role of youth, and the kind of world we want to create for ourselves and the future generations. I believe everyone is listening to us today students, educators, parents, and all of you hold the power to be a part of this change. Small actions, bold ideas, and collective courage can all shape a brighter and sustainable future. Now it's my honor to invite Chairperson of Sustainable Future Foundation, Achla Ji, to share her inspiring closing words and guide us on how to move forward with purpose and passion. Thank you all for being here and for listening and for committing to the planet's future. Together, we can and we will make a difference. Over to you, Achla.
Thank you, Piyu. First of all, apologies for all the technical glitches somewhere in the session. I hope audience will understand that if we are holding any online event or it's some technical glitches always there. So apologies from my side. Um, ओके, सो जैसे हमारे प्रधानमंत्री मोदी जी बार बार कहते हैं, भारत सिर्फ एक देश नहीं, एक सोच है, वसुदेव कुटुंबकम की सोच। और आज के युवाओं ने, आज के बच्चों ने उसी सोच को अपने शब्दों और संकल्पों से जिंदा कर दिया है। मोदी जी बार बार ये भी कहते हैं, ये समय जंग का नहीं है, जिम्मेदारी का है। और आज के युवा बच्चों ने, वक्ताओं ने ये जिम्मेदारी अपने कंधों पर सिर्फ उठाई नहीं, बल्कि बड़े ही बोध और संवेदनशीलता के साथ पूर्ण तरह निभाई है। इनके विचारों में न सिर्फ समस्याओं का चित्रण नहीं था, बल्कि एक नया दृष्टिकोण था, नई दिशा थी और नया समाधान थी। आई होप मेरी बात बच्चों को समझ में आई होंगी, जो बच्चे ग्लोबल लेवल पर अलग अलग जगह पर रहते हैं और शायद हिंदी थोड़ी सी कम समझते हैं। So, what a powerful and thought provoking session we have just witnessed or we have just experienced. First, I want to sincerely congratulate our brilliant young panelists, Anukriti, Nandika, and Shivi, for your courage, clarity, and conviction. You have truly shown us that age is no barrier when it comes to climate awareness, leadership, and action. Let me start with Saudi Arabia first. Anukriti ji, Anukriti beta, your perspective was insightful, balanced. You gave us clear understanding of the complex global and local dynamics of climate change, especially through your real life observation in Saudi Arabia. Even you have also given example of your Nana Nani house in Kishangarh. I love that. Your reflection brought depth and meaning to all this discussion. Thank you so much, beta. My next beautiful speaker, Nandika Beta, your response were confident, calm, and deeply thoughtful. You showed a rare awareness of how social emotion and scientific fact combine to shape a public perception. Your words helped make this global issue feel more personal and real. You were as wonderful as before. Third, and the best speaker, Shivi Gupta, your compassionate approach to the unequal impact of climate change was moving. You reminded us that empathy must be at the heart of climate solution, especially for the most vulnerable. Your vision of hopeful, shared future inspired all. You have given wonderful example from Melbourne, Australia. Thank you so much, Shivi. And I must acknowledge incredible host Peehu. You led the conversation with maturity, far beyond your ears. You didn't just host, you anchored this session with warmth, clarity, heart, and making sure every voice was heard and valued. And I saw you smiling in between a lot. So very good. Today we explored essential questions from the reality of climate change to how fear, politics, and perception shape our responses. We have learned how impact are uneven, how the most vulnerable suffer first and most, and why our future depend on shared actions from individual, community, and nation alike. Like this, Shivi answered in the last question as well. Let's be clear. Climate change is not just an environmental issue, it's a social, economic, and moral challenge. On that demand our attention, our compassion, and urgent action. To every student, parent, teacher, and participant here today, you are a part of the solution. Every small step, reducing waste, planting tree, asking better questions count. But together, through shared purpose and youth-led energy, we create the sympathetic shift our the planet needs. At SFF, we are proud to support platforms like this to empower young change makers to amplify unheard voices and to lead with hope. No doubt, a special thanks to our guiding light, Bhupendra ji, whose vision and dedication fuel every step of our journey. Though not present today, his inspiration was with us throughout. Thank you to our technical team for running the show smoothly behind the scene. To our audience, I can see a lot of parents are here from all over the world. Friends and a lot of comments are there, but if I keep on reading the comments, the session will be for almost 2 hours. So thank you so much for energy and questions and responses. Before we close, a small gesture of our gratitude certificate of participation will be emailed to all the attendees students. Your presence today made me really proud. Let us stay connected in purpose, in action, and in spirit. Let us walk together, one voice, one choice, one earth. Thank you so much from my side. Thank you.